Hello, welcome to another palm reading example video. Today I am discussing the career line, marriage lines, and the children lines. So let's bring up some pictures and get started straight away. I have here hands of the same person, and the first thing I look at is the shape of the hand, which appears to be quite long palm and quite long fingers. So in palmistry, we would call this a water hand that gives sensitive qualities. However, the lines here, they don't look the water type. Usually the water type have many fine lines all over the palm. So these lines look more like the fire type. So this hand is a mix of water and fire, which is good because it gives multifaceted personality. The well-developed thumb is what stands out here. That shows someone who's got the go-getter character, someone with potential leadership skills, self-motivated, realistic, and sensible approach to matters, like career-wise especially. These are qualities that you would need to, succeed in a career. The slight curve on the thumb, like it bends backwards a little bit, that reflects a generous and easygoing attitude, so not too rigid. So overall, you could look at this hand and see that it would belong to a successful person. So let's bring up a close-up of her dominant hand. Here we go, and I'll get a little pen here. Hopefully I can help describe these lines. So here you can see that the career line, also called the fate line, it's usually a line that runs up the center of the palm towards the middle finger. And on this hand, she has only parts of the career line. So in this case, it starts at the lifeline, so that's kind of like a traditional start to a career. And then it seems to fade away and just stops. There is a obstacle line that sort of points towards it. So some kind of obstacle maybe changes the career, and that would have been, the timing is quite sort of just a guesstimate, just guessing, estimating. So it possibly mid-20s as well. So the way the line seems to fade, it's possible that there is some line here, but it's much fainter. In this photo, it doesn't seem to be there. So I'll just rub that out. And either case, there's another obstacle line. There's some sort of a worrying situation that affects the career line as well. So these lines, even though I say they're called worry lines or obstacles, they can happen through various situations in the life. So there might be someone who starts a family and their career is put on hold. If your career is put on hold, that could mean that your actual career line stops for a little while. It can also mean that the career line changes. So say if someone goes from working a full-time job to finding something a little bit more part-time, so changing their job as well. So it's possible that this person has not fully decided on their career yet, and they may be trying to find their way on what they actually want to do. Often the missing part of the career line can also represent someone who's very freedom loving. They want their freedom in their job. So no matter what job they have, or career or business, they need that ability to make their own decisions, the ability to not be restricted, so that they're not bound by this fence that forms this fate line. So the lack of that part of the fate line just represents that love of wanting to be free to do what you want. So the fate line appears to change from a different direction here. So from the headline, this is the headline here, and it's got a fork. From that headline, the career line seems to continue from then. So around 35 onwards, a more steady path in the same direction. So for this period from the possibly mid to late 20s right through to 35 is like a bit of a gap. So potentially that could be starting a family, it could be changing career, it could be just freelancing as well. So many different possibilities there. And she has this, what also appears to be a second fate line that comes all the way from the Mount of Moon. But the placement of it, it could also be a more like an intuition line. But because it rises towards that area where the career line is, that can represent a very strong connection to the moon. That means a creative kind of a person. Where that career line ends is on the heart line. And the timing of that is approximately the age of 50. But she has this success line that starts around the same time, that rises all the way to the ring finger. So it seems as if the lack of career line over here tells me that the hard work, all the hard work will likely be not needed or not necessary, and she will have this success from her career. The other alternative is early retirement and simply living a happy life, because the success line doesn't just represent someone's potential success in their career, but it represents that they are happy with the life that they've chosen. They're probably financially stable, or someone is looking after them, or they have been able to look after themselves, but there is that security of stability for retirement. So that was a long answer to a question which was, will I have a successful career? And there is a definite possibility of that. Don't forget that these lines do change over time. They can change over a couple of months, they can change over a couple of years, so they're not set in stone, so to speak. Let's go to the next question. We are talking about the marriage lines and the children lines. I didn't zoom in on this picture very well, but oh well. Okay, so she has got these lines on the side of the palm, which sort of go across like that underneath the little finger. They're called traditionally called marriage lines, they're relationship lines, union lines, affection lines. There's many names for them, but she does have 3 specific lines that are a little bit stand out the most, and it's possibility for 3 important unions. The first one being probably at a young age, it might have just been a crush. And then there's a middle line. All of these lines look quite straight. None of them have markings, they're not drooping, they're not crisscrossed, they look quite smooth, and that generally represents a smooth, happy union or marriage. And the longest one would represent one in particular from, say, age of around the middle 30s onwards. If there is a small line above, which in this case there is, that can represent that if anything does happen to a marriage, that they're not likely to be alone. They're not going to retire lonely. So that's quite high on the palm. So we will currently disregard that because it's too sort of far away. As I said, that all these lines can change. Now, children lines are generally the vertical lines that sit on top of these lines. So one line would represent one child. 2 lines can represent 2 children. However, again, they're not reliable, but you know, if you don't have any of these lines, I have seen that people who haven't had any children, they've not had these lines. So that means if you do have one of these lines, there is a possibility, if you want a child, that you are able to have one. And on this palm, I could definitely see one line, and it's not very clear, but there may be a second line there too. But like I said, all they represent is there a chance of a child? And so the answer would be yes, there is a chance. Hope you've enjoyed that little mini lesson, and I look forward to do more videos like this. Stay in touch, comment what you think. Thank you, bye.